Hello, welcome to another Daily Digest video. I'm Merriam. Today I am playing the most interesting deck I saw from the Grand Prix in Memphis last weekend. This is Jack Kiefer's white-black tokens deck, really a vampire tokens deck. Queen's Commission, not a card I expected to show up in Standard, but here it is. We got that. We have Call of the Bloodline, the 4-mana one that makes 3 tokens. So it's really easy to ascend with Radiant Destiny, give all your vampire tokens +1/+1 in Vigilance. You also have the Lord. And these tokens are just really good in a format defined by good spot removal. Most of your creatures match up pretty well against Fatal Push and Vraska's Contempt, and all your tokens have lifelink, which makes it really easy to turn on Crested Sunmare. So hopefully this goes really well. Deck seems really sweet, and I am not sure about this hand. Deck has a lot of 2-drops in it, so I really want to start with one in my opening hand. Not Call the Blood, Call to the Feast. Call the Bloodline is the enchantment, wasn't it? What are my odds of drawing a 2-drop here? I've got 12 in the list, I see. But I'm on the play here. I think I'll try this on the play. It's unlikely that I curve out perfectly on 6, and this hand curves out pretty well between Queen's Commission and Radiant Destiny is already pretty good. Okay, they kept 7, so let's start with the planes. Hopefully we get to draw some Vampire Visionary action here on turn 2. That would make me happy. I wonder how often you name horse with Radiant Destiny. Ooh, Sky Marcher Aspirant. There is a 2-drop. How lucky. Our opponent is probably playing either white-black vampire aggro or white-blue auras here. But if they don't have any way to sort of pump up this Aspirant, then our Queen's Commission matches up really well against it. It looks like a Vampire Mirror. I will take this too. The Lord is definitely more valuable, especially because on turn 4 it'll be a 3/3. I'm going to play Commission next turn. What do you have on turn 2? Adanto Vanguard. That is also pretty good. Ooh, good turn to draw that land, so it actually enters untapped. Let's mush you for 2. Because the Vanguard is not going to block that very well. Now, I could say block the Vanguard on their turn and trade one of my tokens for 4 life. And I see a lot of people aggressively do that against Vanguard, try to turn their shocks into 4 damage to the face, and I think it's best to just sort of ignore this card unless you have a way to cleanly answer it. So that will be my plan here. I also race it really well with all these lifelink tokens. Also pretty close to ascending, right? I have 6 permanents right now. I'm going to add at least 2 more next turn. I'll probably ascend in 2 turns or so. This is interesting. I'm happy to trade for the Aspirant, even though that will stop me from ascending very much. Maybe they have some sort of trick here to trade, but that's also fine. Or maybe they're just fine trading because my things have lifelink. But at this point, I'm very far ahead, and I don't mind playing for a little bit of a longer game with the cards in my hand. Duskborn Sky Marcher. Well, let's show you a Radiant Destiny. This Fatal Push was a great draw here, so I have something to cast in addition to the Destiny this turn. And if I can just draw a land next turn, I'll basically have curved out perfectly. This is why I kept my hand, because it was 100% to do this. I will choose Vampire, please. And mush you for 6 damages. Okay. Well, I feel pretty well in control of this game at 20 life still. Removal spell, great 5-drop, and another Anthem in hand. Ooh, the downside of having to play enemy colored aggro decks, putting that card in your deck. Interesting attack. I guess they plan on chump blocking with the Zealot. I'm going to hold under this Fatal Push. My life total is high enough if they play something that is a better blocker. So Martyr and Zealot can team up to deal with something, but not against this other Destiny. So I'll still just hold the push. Just play another one. Yeah, I shouldn't have even traded for that Aspirant. I don't know. Felt like getting a little bit too loose there was a way to lose, but now I'm a little kind of low on creatures. I might get be vulnerable to just removal spells. At 8 permanents. Yeah, just chump block here. That's fine. They'll go to 7. I'll go back up to 20. I mean, they still only have 6 power and play 4/4 lifelinker. And any untapped land I draw is also good because of the Sunmare. Even if I don't gain life, it's just a 5-mana 5/5. That is good enough. Legion Conquistador, sure. Is Ixalan's Binding good against that card, or no? Anybody? How about in the back? Is that good? I can't tell. I'm having a hard time. Wait, let me read this one again. Can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card. Yeah, that seems good. Ooh, getting aggressive. So now they think they can double up and block, but I'm going to blow them out with this Binding. Still no real reason to use this Fatal Push. So I won't. Ooh, maybe they're going to give me a reason. Another 2-power creature. So now I want to use it. Oh, and they've ascended before me. Do I kill the Martyr or the Aspirant? Probably just the Aspirant. I mean, it flies. I can't even block it. So I know their hand is 3 Conquistadors that this Binding is going to blank. Don't even want to play that land yet. We'll deal with the Conquistadors first. Don't need to get the Sunmare down, as sweet as that would be. Oh, I should play the land though, right? Because that ascends me? Yes, that's the 10th permanent, isn't it? Good thing I caught that. Let's do that pre-combat then. Get the City's Blessing, and now I have Vigilance, which continues to dominate combat. Now they basically have to just attack with the Vanguard, and then they can pump it, threaten the pump with the Sky Marcher. I can't block that, but that's about it. Sure. And once again, I am at 20 still, and 3 of the 4 cards in their hand do nothing. Sure. Sky Marcher would be a cool one with the Radiant Destiny. You can attack and then use its ability after combat. Oh man, so many 1/1s. Okay, so how do they block when I make this attack? They can trade for one of the creatures, but not a second one. Because even if they dealt with Lieutenant, yeah, they needed 7 power for that. They have 5. So I can just attack with everything and then play Sunmare after combat and get 5/5. Okay. And I assume they'll concede once they draw their card. This should be a good matchup. We have a low enough curve to not fall super far behind. And a ton of lifelink as well. And things that just take over the game once it goes long. So as long as we protect our life total early, make reasonable trades, I don't foresee any issues in this matchup. I also do like Ixalan's Binding against Conquistador. That's cute. Yes, I will get another 5/5. Yeah, 13 power on board against nothing with 2 utility lands still uncracked. All their cards are gone. I'm at 24 life. This was just a slaughter. It's probably another reason this deck was good last weekend. All these lifelinking 1/1 tokens are going to be good against mono red. Do I sideboard? Okay, there's another Fatal Push here. I thought there was. I was pretty sure there was a push. I probably want that. And I probably want to cut either a Radiant Destiny or a Thopter Arrest. I think Radiant Destiny. I honestly don't think the second one there did a whole lot, and this is a card that doesn't affect the board, especially if I'm trading a lot early. Thopter Arrest can cleanly deal with a Adonto Vanguard or a Lord or something like that, even though it's not great against a lot of their cards. I think having the removal is better, and I don't really want any of these cards. Like maybe Contempt is better than Thopter Arrest because it gains a couple life. They don't really have a lot of reach, so I think I'd rather have the cheaper spell on the draw. I definitely don't want a slow card like Procession. That's not for this matchup, or Immortal Sun, and I guess they might have their own Excellence Binding, Cast Out, Thopter Arrest kind of cards that I want to fragmentize, but I don't want to bring that in immediately because it could just be a dead card, and that's going to be really bad. It can blow up Legion's Landing, but that's not a very good use of it. So I think I'll just bring in the one push and rely on the fact that this matchup is probably excellent. It both feels bad and feels good to only sideboard the one card. You kind of feel bad because you think your sideboard is ill-prepared for a matchup, but then you realize that your main deck is so good against them, you don't really need to do much. So we'll just keep an eye out, mulligan borderline hands, hopefully draw as well as we did last game, where we rip the 2-drop in the 1-turn window to curve perfectly and then hit the Fatal Push on turn 4. This is going to be a mulligan, even though I do have a turn 1 push, which is probably my best thing to have on the draw here. Only one land is just not going to cut it. Opponent also mulligan to 6, so that's nice of them. Well, on 6, one land cuts it a little bit more often, and it's the best land possible on 1 because it's both our colors. We also still have the push, and we have 2 2-drops that are pretty good in this matchup because they trade effectively. So I will keep this on 6. Not too happy about it. Definitely don't want another Radiant Destiny. That can go to the bottom. Opponent also scryed to the bottom, so we're on equal footing there. So, oh, there's a second land. Perfect. I'm going to wait. If they play a Lord, they'll be incentivized to play it pre-combat here, and I can push that instead. They go to combat. Ooh. Oh, man. I really want to kill this because I'm kind of mana tight, but I don't want a Lord to take over the game. And it's not like guaranteed they don't have a Lord because their land enters tapped. Thing is, the Lord isn't going to be that great against Double Martyr, Radiant Destiny than Call to the Feast, right? Am I more likely to lose to... Maybe I'm more likely to lose to Double Lord? I'm going to take this too. This card is just so non-threatening. Oh, geez. Now I might want to kill something just because they have 2 things. On 3 cards. This Martyr still trades with Aspirant. Like, say they just untap and use a removal spell, and then I don't draw a land in the next 2 draws. Do I Martyr again? And I'm sort of falling behind. If I push now, I'd be pushing the Sky Marcher, which combines well with Lord and is sort of a Lord itself. I think I'm fine pushing the Sky Marcher. Yeah, that's a good card, but I needed the lands here. You hit the 1. I liked the 1. And I like Martyr of Dusk here. Martyr of Dusk is just excellent in this matchup. On 3 cards. Maverin Fane. That is a good one. Would you like to attack? Would have had a hard time fatal pushing that Maverin Fane. So I'm pretty happy to have pushed the Sky Marcher because that would be a free attack to net a token. Now, to get their token, they let me trade. They've essentially upgraded their Aspirant into a Martyr of Dusk. And now they have to attack with the Maverin Fane if they want to get another token this turn, and I can hopefully trade for that. If I draw a land, I think I'll play the Queen's Commission because that lets me block down the Maverin Fane even if my opponent draws a land. Though, if I draw a land, then I have Destiny. And I might just not even want to trade because I can Destiny them. I still want a Queen's Commission, but I just don't think I'd trade if they attack. Giving them an extra 1/1 isn't going to be that big of a deal, as opposed to trading what will be 2 2/2s. So play our Queen's Commission. It's 6 permanents. So if we draw another land, Call of the Feast will get us up to Ascend. We have hit our lands, so in good shape here. Still at a healthy life total. And our opponent somewhat low on resources because they were on the play. Here is the Lord. That is very good. Very, very good. Oof. Yeah, I think I'm going to take this and play the Destiny to set up more favorable trades for myself on the next turn. But that was about worst case scenario. It's more mana efficient to play the Call, but it's just so much worse against their board. They do have to be a little wary of another push here on their Lieutenant. I could try to attack with one Vampire, assuming the other can double block the Maverick Fane, the other two, but then I'm weak to a removal spell, and with Call to the Feast of my hand and Martyr of Dusk, and like these If Near Dead lands and other things to do, I just want this game to go long. So I'll just turtle up here. And hopefully they don't have another Lieutenant. Okay, I can deal with that. That is good. You know, extra card, reasonable body here. And that is also pretty good. How many of these do I block? I want to say 1. I just want to preserve my life total a bit. If I draw a land, I'll probably just kill the Lieutenant with my dead lands. Okay, well, I guess I'll kill it next turn. This should be a strong play either way. White. So now we both have 5 creatures. Their Vanguard is quite good here. That's going to get in a lot, but I'll... Oh, I can... What if I... No, because I was thinking attacking with all 5, but these don't have haste, and they have something that does eat 1. But next turn, now that they all have Vigilance, I'll be able to dominate combat pretty well. If Near Deadlands down the Lieutenant. Okay. Well, I'm pretty happy that that came down before it could be relevant. Another Lieutenant there would have been really good for them because it would have stopped the Deadlands. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, interchain. Yeah, at that point. Oh, Jesus, they keep making tokens that way too. Because of this Vanguard. That is pretty good. Still, I'm not going to trade for 1 when I'm about to shrink them, so we'll just take this attack, go to 6, and I'll get set to gain 10 life on the next turn. And choose this one. Might as well sack one of the Deadlands and leave myself more options. Sure. And now we're starting to turn this game around. I wonder if I would have been in better shape dealing with the Lieutenant with that push instead of the Sky Marcher. I don't think so, because I was tapping out most of those turns. But yeah, now I'm at 16. I'll be able to deal with the Maverick Fane on my next turn if I want to do that. Baffling End on a token, that is fine. So they do have some enchantments that Fragmentize is good against between the Curse and the Baffling End. So that's something to be wary of. But I'm pretty content where I am in this game. I don't think we'll have to sideboard again. Yeah, let's just deal with this Maverick Fane, I think. I could deal with the Vanguard, I guess. Maybe that's better, because that's the thing that's actually attacking me. And it's not like they can effectively attack into this wall anyway. Yeah, okay. I'll attack with all of my Vigilant Vampires. See if we get some double blocks here. Yep. Not too surprised to see this. So they go to 11, I go to 21. Or they go to 12. One card in hand. I'm definitely going to keep the Deadlands around as opposed to the Dunes. I just want to kill all their stuff. This Trespasser's Curse could get annoying if they end up trading down more of these vampires, because they are still at 12. I'm down to 3 of them. And what happens if they just have another Mavern Fane in their hand? Like untap, attack with Mavern Fane, get a token, I trade a token for it, they play another one. I guess I just kill that. They have 3 1/1s left to my 2, so they trade for one of them, and then I'm left like playing more creatures to try to kill them. So I'm left like not that far ahead. But I'll have such a high life total that this curse won't be a big deal. And I'll attack. Huh. I definitely thought I was in my first main phase. Well, that was embarrassing. I need... Well, it could make a difference too. They're going to get another token here as a result. I'm just like a little bit further behind. I must have clicked 1 extra time while I was talking and just not realized it. They'll have a chance to play something. Yeah, Martyr of Dusk is good. That trades. They're definitely going to trade that off. They'll probably trade 2 of the lifelinking vampires for another one. And then be left with 2 other lifelinking vampires. That's fine. That's still fine. I wonder what that last card in their hand is. Like they've had sort of one card that they didn't play. If it was a 2-drop, they would have played it. It could just be a land. People hold lands a lot, but I kind of suspect that it's another Mavern Fane. I don't know. Yep. They get a token. Let's deal with this one. Do I want to deal with that one? It's better if they have another Mavern Fane in hand. Yeah. Sack a desert. Putting in some work with these Ifnir Deadlands. Hopefully our opponent draws a couple lands at some point, because they made 4 land drops and then just stopped. They have another Adanto Vanguard. Isn't that nice? Okay. Well, let's deal with that one too. Yes. Don't want to attack with this vampire. They just get to trade the 2 tokens for it, and then attack with Mavern Fane and regenerate 1. They were hesitant to make that trade, which makes me think they don't have another Mavern Fane in hand, probably just holding a land. Interesting. This is a somewhat free attack, I guess, but it does make me think they have another Mavern Fane. So, if I make this block, I'm just giving them 3 free damage, but that's fine. I'm still at 23. Now I get to attack freely. Man, I'm drawing a lot of lands here. So now I get to attack freely, and their next attack is not nearly as free. So they'll go to 12 here, but I guess this attack will get undone by the Trespasser's Curse as I finally trigger it after so long. And these Martyrs will be very good. Okay. Now have 3 cards in their hand. Yeah, they definitely have at least 1 land. And it looks like another Maverick Vein. Trade this off. Let them play the other Maverick. Oh, they have Supernatural Stamina. That's a cute one. Okay. Oh, that is a good one. That will cleanly deal with this at least first Maverick, if that is indeed what they have. But I think they have a land. So that attack, they didn't have Maverick, they just had a Supernatural Stamina, which makes sense. So they trade here for a token. They end up taking 3. And now I'm pretty well in control of this game. Haven't even drawn like my highest end cards. My Crescent Sun Mirror, I guess Call to the Feast is sort of a high end card for this matchup, and that's definitely one of the cards that put this one away. Ooh, they drew Legion Conquistador. That's actually really good. That puts them ahead on board, actually. Or not, maybe not immediately ahead on board, but I essentially have 3 2-toughness creatures, and now they have 5. Or 4, and then a 1-toughness thing. So they're actually able to trade down to where they are left with a Vampire token that I've given them for free, and a Conquistador, which is awkward. So hopefully I can draw something here. And that counts. Sure, we'll just trade things off. Maybe I'm not supposed to trade things off, but because my things have lifelink, so if they get into a race, I'm favored. And if I find another Radiant Destiny, but if they find a Lord, then I'm far behind. So I'd rather just play it safer. Wouldn't be surprised to just see 1 trade for the token, but I guess they're fine trading down. This Trespasser's Curse is going to end up putting in a lot of work. So I've triggered it 4 times now, and this will be up to 7 times. Yeah. But another Call to the Feast there is excellent. Otherwise, I would have been more protective of my lifelink token, because I want a source of life gain if I draw a Sunmare. See if they just play a couple more 2/2s here. I've drawn 9 lands so far to their 6, but 3 of mine did stuff, so no harm, no foul. A Sky Marcher Aspirant, okay. That trades for another thing. Legion's Landing is really good. It's another reason to trade off for their board to stop them from flipping one of their own, should they have had it. Now we'll start pumping out tokens. That should be pretty close to enough. They're going to have to draw very well to get back into this one. Even with the Trespasser's Curse, my life total is so high. Eventually, 2/2 lifelinkers will outpace that. Okay, so they make no blocks in case they draw their own, I assume. I probably gave them some ideas. If they did draw their own, that would be really good. Okay, they have their own Radiant Destinies. So now we might actually go to a game 3. I guess like my things still trade 1-for-1. It's just hard for me to attack. Yeah, they just leave back the Conquistadors. Oh man. Okay, yeah, might as well block. Let's hope to draw another Anthem. They're going to go to 11. We're going to go to 28. Then be 27 to 12 when I make a token with a Danto. They can block 3 of them. They only take 4. Another Forsaken Sanctuary. Yeah, attacking doesn't really do much. They're going to be able to whittle my left whittle down. I'm taking 4 a turn between Trespasser's Curse and Aspirant. But I do have inevitability at this point. Vanguard is pretty good. I can draw one of my other enchantment removal cards to deal with their Radiant Destiny, be fine. Fatal Push is good, it deals with Aspirant, so now I have 6, so they only take 6. Might as well pass. If they draw a Lord, I'll definitely want to push that instead. They draw a land finally, that's good. Ooh, surprised to see no attack from Vanguard. I guess they don't really want to pay 4 life if I block. That's fine. I can take this for a bit and just protect myself from a top deck Lord here. 21 life, I'm fine. That is... Oh, this is artifact or creature. I needed binding to deal with any non-land permanent. It's still quite good. It'll deal with a Conquistador. And then they have 3 things. If they have 2, if I deal with Aspirant with the push, they'll have 2 things. And they'll take 10. That's still not enough. Next turn they'll take 12, but be at 15. So that's still 3 turns away. But do I just kill them in... I mean, I just killed him in 2 attacks, right? I think I'm fine making this attack, only losing 2 creatures, and they lose a Vanguard. Yeah. That should be good enough. Yeah, I'll still have 5 next turn, 6 with the Odanto. And they should die here. They can't make the Vanguard indestructible because then it's lethal. Yeah. Bam. We have ground through a lot of weird stuff. I guess with so many lifelink creatures on both sides, and then they had Trespasser's Curse. This is a little bit more complicated than I expected, but there was never really any point where I was super scared. When they drew the Destiny, that was definitely good, but I was still in good shape, and I guess I drew the Legion's Landing the next turn, and from there I felt really far ahead as well. So, no, I think it was in the opposite order, right? Because I made the attack first to flip it, and then they drew the Radiant Destiny. So then it just got a little dicey at a few spots. They just have cards like Sky Marcher Aspirant is so bad in the mirror because it doesn't gain any kind of value and it trades for tokens. And I gave them a free token at 1.2, right, with the misclick turn. So I made the game slightly harder than it needed to be just by not being able to operate a mouse. So yeah, just a matchup where them being slightly lower to the curve doesn't gain them anything because I have enough 2s and cheap removal to stay with them in the early game, and then those things are just huge liabilities as the game goes on. They do have some things to play a longer game. Legion Conquistador, they supported in Radiant Destiny, so you saw those things, but just doesn't match up to something like just Queen's Commission and Call to the Feast. Those cards are just straight up 2 and 3 for ones in the matchup. So I just drew enough of them, had a Lord. Maybe I wasn't supposed to bring out a Radiant Destiny because they're so good with the token makers. Maybe that was bad, especially when they're bringing in their own. So I sideboarded one card and it was probably wrong, but this is one of those classic matchups where my deck is favored on such a deep structural level that it's hard to screw it up too badly, and that was one of the reasons I didn't over sideboard. I knew that advantage was there. I didn't want to get too cute without knowing the list super intimately. So hope you enjoyed watching that one. Thanks to Jack Kiefer for another sweet deck, and you can come back and see me on Friday.